Hey, what's going on, folks? My name's Great. This is Video Holocaust, and we're going to do something a little bit different here today, as I'm in the middle of a bit of spring cleaning and I've got a large assortment of my DVD collection out of the recesses and crevices where they normally reside. So I thought, you know what? Let's show them off in a video before they're packed up and bagged out until the next time I'm having a clean up. And obviously this is by no means my complete collection, just a taster. But if you would like to see more of my collection, then leave a comment down below. I do believe my arm can be twisted. And we're going to get the ball rolling with perhaps one of my favourite films of recent years. It's 13 Game of Death, a fantastic movie from Thailand, actually from the makers of Ong Bok and Chocolate. It's a horror movie, got reminiscences of a Saw and other horror traits. It's really good. It's kind of like if you ever played the video game Smash TV, this man has to complete certain challenges in order to win cash prizes. Excellent movie. And we got to another Thai movie actually. This was released in the early 2000s. This was riding the back of Ong Bok when Thai cinema suddenly became very, very popular in the West. As you can probably tell, based on a true story, Bang Rajan, yep, this is also riding the coattails of 300, telling the tale of a band of Thai warriors who would guard a strategically placed village that the Burmese army needed to pass through in order to conquer Thailand. Excellent, excellent movie. And we got a British movie starring a few Cockney villains in Hard Men. In a nutshell, The Craze meets Reservoir Dogs. One of the must-see movies this year. It's bad and it's British. Bad as in good, I do hope, because this movie is in fact very, very good. One of the men who used to associate with The Craze is in this movie in a little cameo towards the end. I believe it's Mad Frankie Fraser. But this movie is hugely underrated, even here in the UK. Bang Rajan, it rode the coattails of a much more popular movie in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. But this is an excellent movie in its own right. Hard Men. And we have... Some of you may have seen my Ong Bok review in which I lavished praise upon it and labelled it as one of the best martial art movies of all time. This is the third movie in the trilogy. There will not be a fourth. What can I say about this movie? I really wanted to like this movie. Ong Bok 2 is without a shadow of doubt my all-time favourite martial arts movie. I don't care what none of you guys say. That movie is incredible. Ong Bok 3, yeah. For those of you who know, Tony Jaa had a bit of a kerfuffle with the film's producer. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his bloody name. Let's see if it's down here somewhere. I can't remember. Oh, good away. But yeah, Tony Jaa did not want to do this movie, and actually did not want to do this movie so much that in order to get out of his contract, actually became a fully ordained Buddhist monk. And Buddhism obviously very big in Thailand, so yeah, that got the public on his side, and it forced the film's producer to listen to Tony's wishes. And yeah, but they reconciled and they did this movie and before parting ways. But yeah, Tony Jaa never gets out second gear in this movie. It's decent, there are some cracking scenes in it, but yeah, overall a letdown. What else have we got? See if we... Oh, wait. I know this movie. Yeah, I have not seen this movie in, donkey's years. The original cult classic, Sleepaway Camp, You Won't Be Coming Back. This was actually a pretty popular movie. I think it's an 80s movie. I don't think it's a 90s movie. No, it's definitely 80s, maybe late 80s. But yeah, this film, although not exactly the greatest sort of slasher movie, it did have the gimmick of having quite a twist ending. I won't give it away here if you haven't seen it. There are a couple of sequels knocking about, but yeah, the original is good. The original, I say, is a classic of the slasher genre, and what probably isn't a classic of its respective genre is this is the, let me just check, this is the fourth movie in the A Better Tomorrow franchise. Now the man in the middle there, Yi King Cheng, he's got mixed Well, he's not the greatest actor, let's just put it that way, but he's been in some cracking movies. If you've seen my channel before, you probably know that I am a big fan of him and the Young and Dangerous franchise. But he was also in some great movies such as what's it called? Goodbye, Mr. Cool. Oh, that's a great movie. He's been in some duffers as well. But yeah, it's not the worst movie. I mean, A Better Tomorrow 3 was sort of stretching things anyway. But yeah, it's not bad. Actually, who directed this? I think it's Suhak, although I can't see his name credited. Oh God Almighty! Produced and directed by Wong Jing. I take Eric back. Yeah, Wong Jing. I like Wong Jing. I like Wong Jing. He makes good films, but yeah, he's not a great filmmaker. And this is probably one that I'm going to say you probably have never heard of. But if I say that Mr. Bean is basically the modern equivalent of this, then you might know where we're at. It's the Jacques Tati collection. He only made a handful of movies from the late 40s to, when was it? The 60s. A perfectionist. He is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, a true genius, an originator, brilliant actor, brilliant comedian, because that was his thing. He was a silent comedian. He didn't really talk much. But yeah, his movies are some of the greatest I have ever seen. I love this guy, Jacques Tati, Frenchman. We have one, I'm trying to think, have I actually seen this one? From the director of Kickboxer and the producer of Bloodsport comes Fist of Rage, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper. No, I don't think I've actually seen this one, but I might put that to one side and check it out later. Any martial arts movie fan worth his salt would definitely have a few of these knocking about. Yeah, these are them old ninja movies that were churned out in the 1980s. These two may be part of, yeah, they are Godfrey Ho. Now, I've mentioned Godfrey Ho name a few times on this channel. Not a fan. He wasn't the worst filmmaker. The trouble was he made like Z-grade movies. But when he made the step up to B movies, he did a couple of movies with Moon Lee, I seem to recall. You know, he showed he had some ability, but yeah, these are basically they got unreleased movies from the 1970s, edited that footage and just shot some action films of men in pajamas pretending to be ninjas, and released it. And yeah, here's two of them. Whoopie-doo. This is a Korean film, I think. I have seen this one, but I can't really remember much about it. Yeah, this is from the celebrated action director of The Good, the Bad and the Weird, which is a brilliant film, and Brotherhood, which is a film I rate immensely. Can't really remember this one. I think it might be based on a comic. Yeah, well, that one. I've got a couple of copies of this. I'm not sure which one this is. This is Chocolate. It doesn't look like a UK release. I'm not sure where this DVD is from, actually. I have no idea where this DVD comes from, but it is in its original Thai with English subtitles, and from what I have no complaints. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Chocolate is basically the female version of Ong Bok. They got this girl, I don't know where they got her from, but yeah, they taught her Muay Thai and they put her in the starring role of this movie. I wouldn't say she's the greatest actress of all time, but she does give a decent performance. But it's the martial arts fight scenes that are what people really went mad for, because yeah, she is official tissue as far as I'm concerned. We have a Hong Kong Legends movie. You know, I have done a video showing off my Hong Kong Legends DVD collection. I'm trying to remember whether or not this was part of it. Basically, Jackie Chan rose to prominence in the late 70s and he dominated the entirety of the 1980s in Hong Kong and wider Asia. But in the 90s, he could see the writing on the wall. He knew he had to reinvent himself. So basically, he spent much of the early mid-1990s working with other directors in order to try and not just broaden his appeal, but sort of stretch himself as an actor. And this is definitely one of those films that features him in more of an acting capacity. Not a bad film, it just didn't really sit well with a lot of Jackie Chan fans. But yeah, it's one worth watching. Crime Story. Was meant to make a video on this. This is Blitz. This is one of the few times that Jason Statham has done a British movie. Low budget movies based on a popular novel which I never read, but yeah, it's actually really really good. Basically, if you've seen one Jason Statham movie, you've seen them all. But yeah, it's good. And we're gonna keep the British theme going with Layer Cake. Daniel Craig, James Bond. This is the 2-disc edition. I'm trying to remember if I've actually seen this or not. It's been yeah, this came out, I can't remember, early 2000. But yeah, from what I remember, it's really good. And speaking of really good, there are certain movies that come along that just catch people's imagination, and although it didn't really make any great waves in the West, in Asia, this movie, Shiri, a Korean movie, really really got people's tongues wagging. And I'm not just talking about the sex pot on the cover. Basically, this girl whose name I can't remember is a North Korean assassin living a double life in South Korea. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you. If you've not seen this movie, this is definitely one to check out. It's one I really want to make a video on, because the whole point of this channel is to sort of like bring to people's attention movies like this that will have slipped under people's radar. This is an excellent movie. It's really really good. In my opinion, between 1995 and 2005, the best movies in the world were coming out of South Korea, and this is definitely one of the very very best. Then we go to a highlight of Asian cinema, to one of its more sort of casual watchable movies. Oh god, there's so many of these kind of movies that oh god, it's another Wong Jing movie. Yeah, he actually did quite a few movies with Wong Jing, actually. Jet Li. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what this movie is actually called, because the Meltdown title would clearly be a Western name that they would have given it. Oh, I don't know. From what I remember, it's decent. This one I don't think I've seen. It's a Donnie Yen movie, so you know I will get around to watching it. I'm a big fan of Donnie Yen and have been ever since I saw him in some of his late 80s movies. God almighty, what were they called? Tiger Cage 2 and oh, I did a review on it. Why am I drawing a blank? Oh, it'll come to me. But yeah, needless to say, I'm a big fan of Donnie Yen and have been long before Ip Man came out. But yeah, this is a slightly more recent one. The Lost Bladesman. Now, if you say you know Asian movies but don't know this, Aces Go Places, then we got problems here. Because yeah, people seem to think that it was only martial art movies that were what was big in Hong Kong and Asia. But to be honest, one of the biggest movies of the 80s would have been this film and its many many sequels. It's a crime caper comedy. Sam Huey, Carl Macker, they would appear in quite a few martial art movies as well, obviously. But yeah, this movie in Hong Kong is a classic. It is brilliant, hilarious. There's at least 5 movies in the franchise. I'm trying to think, did it actually get remade in the West? It may well have done. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, Aces Go Places. You haven't seen it, check it out. We've got a stack of movies here. I did a video on the original, so here's the rest of them. Yeah, you might have been aware that there is a remake that's come out for Bloodsport. Well, here's the original sequels with a guy, I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Daniel Bernhardt. And as you can see, the man does bear a bit of a resemblance to Van Damme. But yeah, the same pose on, on all the covers. But yeah, the movies are not great, but you know what? The ring fighter was a popular genre in martial art movies, particularly in the West. Bowler Young was in a series called Shoot Fight, and oh god, there was loads of others. Now the British movie, Kidulthood. This one's a bit more urban. I'm trying to remember which came first now, Kidulthood or Adulthood. Before Adulthood, there was Kidulthood. So yeah, I guess this is a prequel. Can't remember. Boom. The movie that made Jet Li a star, Once Upon a Time in China. He would make quite a lot of these. Sue Hark, basically, throughout his career, he has redefined Hong Kong cinema. And this is him up to his old tricks again, because throughout the 1980s, the emphasis was on gritty urban martial art movies, or action movies in general, gangster movies, that kind of thing. But yeah, the period style martial arts movie came back in a big way, thanks largely to this movie. So much so that Jackie Chan would get off his arse and do Drunken Master 2 finally in '94, to kind of piggyback on the success of this movie. I'm not the biggest Jet Li fan, if I'm honest. I'm not. But that was only because of his insistence on doing that kind of waifu martial arts style. But yeah, what can I say? They're great movies. And what's her name? Rosamund Wong, I think it is. One of my favourite Chinese actresses. Is in it. Is a classic. What do you know about this one? What do you know about Ozu and Tokyo Story? This is actually a Korean DVD, but it does have English subtitles. Yeah, I'm a big fan of old Japanese movies. The Japanese just have a way of filmmaking that no one in the West can sort of compare to. Yasujiro Ozu is probably one of Japan's finest ever directors. It's a slow burner, definitely. Old one, this, black and white. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, check it out. Tokyo Story. I'm not sure. Did I show off the first one? I don't think so. This is a movie, along with its part 1, and there is a part 3, that I've been meaning to make videos on for quite a while. I am a big fan of the film's director, Takeshi Miike, although he seems to be exclusively making anime and video game movies recently. His most recent film is a live-action adaptation of a popular 90s manga called oh god almighty, I knew I should have prepared some notes before doing this. What is it? It's Blade of the Immortal, that's it. And before that he was doing films based on, what was it? Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, that old Nintendo DS classic. But yeah, he will forever be known as one of the greatest action movie makers of all time. Him and Takeshi Ishii had some success in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s with Western releases of some of their better titles. I'm trying to think of some Takeshi... Oh, we got another one. Here's one. This one is Takeshi Miike going the samurai route, 13 Assassins. I've lent this out to a lot of my friends and they all say the same thing. Excellent. Even ones who aren't into Asian movies with subtitles. But yeah, it's done in that trademark Takeshi Miike fashion. You just cannot get better than Takeshi Miike when he's on form. Oh my gosh. I'll go on record right here and now and say that one of my favourite actors of all time is Takeshi Kitano, and he's without doubt one of my favourite directors as well. This is his first, not his first movie, but this is his first movie in which he had creative control. You may know him, if you're in the UK, you may know the name Takeshi from a show that was popular called Takeshi's Castle, where he wasn't the guy who led the troops, he was the guy at the end who always won. Yeah, that should give you a bit of insight into his style of humour. This guy is brilliant. His films can be a bit slow, a bit ponderous, but brilliant. Brilliant. You gotta have a few movies like this in your collection, I suppose. This, I think, is not Brandon Lee's first appearance on camera, because I think he was in a TV movie of Kung Fu. But this, I think, is his first starring vehicle. I haven't seen this. I actually meant to do a whole series of videos looking at the entire film career of the late, great Brandon Lee. This is one I have yet to see. He did another movie with Bowler Young a little while later. Gonna have some anime. You know me, I'm a big anime fan. The one on the right is the original Appleseed movie from, I think, 86. I do have the manga. Let me just turn the camera, can you see it? There somewhere in that big stack. But yeah, they've recently, well not recently, maybe 10-15 years ago, they brought out some CG adaptions. This is one of 2, I think, that came out. This is, what is this one called? I think this one is just called Appleseed, but there's another one called, I think it's called Appleseed Ex Machina. Or anime, Black Blood Brothers, pretty good. Big fan of this one. Love Hina, love the manga more if I'm honest. Final Selection. This one was on TV, I think. It's Bamboo Blade. Ooh, we have an action manga. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this guy's name. Mark Dacocos, I think it's pronounced, or something along those lines. But yeah, this follows the story of the manga pretty damn closely. This guy is a hugely underrated actor, great martial arts talent. Yeah, if you've got no interest in anime manga, at least the film adaptation is pretty good. I think it's directed by Christopher Guns. TC2000, yeah, Mr. Taibo himself, Billy Blanks. He would star in about 10 sort of action movies, karate movies, whatever you want to call them, kickboxing movies. But before knocking all that on the head and getting into fitness. But yeah, here's one of his sort of later ones, TC2000. Actually, not that bad. Some familiar faces pop up, such as Bowler Young, Matthias Hughes, one or two others. Is this a Takeshi Miki? Yeah, Takeshi Miki film. This is Full Metal Yakuza. Now, Takeshi Miki's career is quite an interesting one because he started out making B movies. And his reputation within the sort of B movie, they call it V cinema in Japan, but his reputation within sort of V cinema was that he could make films quickly, he could make them well, come in under budget, and this kind of like helped him get into making more sort of mainstream theatrically released films. But despite blowing up quite well internationally, off the back of movies like Audition, off the back of movies like oh god, it's gone out of my head. But yeah, he blew up in the West, blew up internationally and at home, unlike, say, Takeshi Kitano. But he always would go back and still make movies within that V cinema circuit. This is one of his early ones. Chanbara Beauty. And you guys played a video game called Oni Chanbara, or I think it was called Zombie Hunters as well. Yeah, this is the film adaptation. It's not a great movie, but what do you expect from a low-budget film? It's decent. If you know the game, you'll probably get more enjoyment out of the film. Ho, ho, ho. I can't remember if I mentioned this guy's name or not, but besides Takeshi Miki, there was another Japanese director who came to a bit of prominence in the late 90s, and that was Takeshi Ishii. And this guy had been knocking around the Japanese film scene for quite a while. Writing movies like Evil Dead Trap, an 80s horror classic in Japan. This is one of his 90s offerings. A suspenseful, I suppose you could call it horror, thriller, slasher. A film that hurts, disturbs and overwhelms. Yeah, it certainly does. It's very, very good. A walk on a violent and nasty side, say Japan Times. Yeah, I used to love My American B movies, and Don the Dragon Wilson wasn't a great actor. He came with a lot of credentials. He was a world kickboxing champion, considered one of the best martial artists of his time. But yeah, his films are decent. They were watchable. Ring of Fire, Blood Fight, not Blood Fight. What was it called? Was it Blood Fight? Yeah, I think it was Blood Fight. Yeah, basically, he never quite made it. He had aspirations of becoming the first martial arts movie star to win an Oscar, but well, we can dream, can't we? And there's another one. This is towards the very end of his career, in the sort of beginning of the 90s, I think. We have some VHS here. We have Black Sheep Affair. This is done by Yun Woo Ping, I think. Blah, 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 blah. We have a quick look. I can't see the director's name. Oh, it's Alan Lam. Yeah, decent. What more can I say? Very, very good. I've got it on DVD as well. A few more VHS. Let's have a look at another stack. Right beside me, we have a rather dirty looking copy of Transformers the movie, special edition. Already did a video on that. What more can I say on it? Hoo-hoo. I think there's a sequel to Seven Swords, isn't it? Yeah, Donnie Yen's in it. Sammo Hung's in it. From the director of Three Kingdoms, who is... I actually thought that was John Woo. I can't see. Marentu Warrior. From the writer and director of The Raid. This is pre-Raid. Iko Uwayas, I think his name is. Yeah, this is a bit slow in the beginning, but once it does get going, it is well worth a watch. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this guy's name. Written, directed and starring by, yeah, you read that at the top. Bloody hell. This man would certainly be good at Scrabble, wouldn't he? But yeah, the fat sort of comic relief from Ong Bok, well-known comedian and television personality in Thailand, would sort of make his own movie, not based on Ong Bok, but sort of based around his own sort of comedic talents. And it's this one called The Bodyguard, and there's the man Tai Jia. He makes a cameo in it. Colour of the Truth. As you can see, I've not seen this. It's unopened. Starring Anthony Wong, but then what Hong Kong movie doesn't star Anthony Wong? I think that's Jordan Chan or whatever his freaking name is. A few familiar faces on this cover, actually. Is it directed by Johnny To, one of my favourite directors? Marco Mack and Wong Jing. Oh. Well, there we go. This is Return of the God of Gamblers. Now, one of my most popular videos on my channel is the review of the first God of Gamblers. This is not the second. This may not even be the third. There would be a whole host of God of Gamblers sequels and spin-offs before Chow Yun-fat would come back and reprise one of his most famous roles. This is actually pretty decent. That name there, Chingami Yao, she would be the star of quite a few. Actually, she came to be popular off the back of what were called Category 3 movies, which were just basically softcore porn / action movies. Another copy of Transformers the movie. Actually, the disc is falling out. I actually quite like the House movies. This is House 3. I'm struggling to think which movie this is, but the first one was very, very popular. I'm not sure if the sequels went straight to video or not, but yeah, if you ever get a chance to check them out, definitely check out House. What else have we got? We have, I think this is a Spanish movie. I got very into Spanish movies thanks to a film I watched called Torrente, which is still one of my all-time favourite comedy movies. I'm trying to think what this one actually is, but yeah, from what I do remember, it was pretty good. Another Korean movie, what's it called? Bichunmo, Warrior of Virtue. Very stylish, definitely style over substance in my opinion, kind of riding the back of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, all them kind of movies, but worth a watch. Did a video on this one already, 3x3 Eyes, excellent, one of my favourite. Another one I've been meaning to do, this is actually the sequel, Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. Definitely not on par with the original, but definitely worth watching. Time and Tide, I believe this is a Hong Kong movie, yep, filmed by Sue Hawk. I watched this donkeys years ago, very good movie. I Corrupt All Cops, there's Anthony Wong again. Oh sorry, that's Anthony Wong. Who directed this one? Was it? Oh, Wong Jing. Yeah, Wong Jing is a busy man. Another British movie starring then unknown Jude Law. This movie is actually the debut film of the director Paul W.S. Anderson, who would go on to find greater fame and then infamy for movies like Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon and Resident Evil films, and Alien vs Predator as well. This, I believe, is a Russian movie, very CG heavy. The fate of a nation lies in the destiny of one man. You may be familiar with the films that preceded this, Night Watch and Day Watch. I forget what it's called now, sort of Matrix inspired vampire movies. This movie, wow, this movie. I actually bought this thinking this was a UK copy of a Hong Kong movie called, I think it was called Womb Ghosts, that I was trying to get a copy of. No, this is a Korean movie. It will make your blood run cold. Ain't that the truth? Watching this movie, I was very, very impressed with the performance of this young actress and wanted to know what else she'd been in. Then I discovered why she gave such a harrowing performance in this film. Not long after completing this movie, she would commit suicide. Yeah, so she was struggling with demons of her own, not just within the movie. But yeah, excellent stuff. Another Korean movie, one of the very best, R-Point, a horror movie set during the Vietnam War, or the tail end of the Vietnam War. Blair Witch meets Full Metal Jacket, yeah, hugely underrated this movie. Again, like a lot of these films, I've been meaning to make videos on them. Definitely one worth checking out. And yeah, you know, the Japanese like their gore. I did a video on Machine Gun. I've been meaning to make some more more videos based on some of these sort of splatter movies from the Land of the Rising Sun. This is Tokyo Gore Police. Mental. That's basically all I can say. Mental. And we have Black Angel. And oh god, this video's been running for half an hour. Alright, we're just going to look at a couple more and then that's it. So this is Takeshi Ishii, The Black Angel. I think it's a V Cinema 1, a B movie, but definitely one worth checking out because it is really, really good. Takeshi Ishii is a brilliant writer, brilliant director. Started his career in porno. Another Takeshi Kitano movie, Boiling Point. This is his second movie in the director's chair, I believe. Yeah, for those who don't know, Takeshi Kitano was suffering from depression or something like that, and yeah, he went a bit nuts making this movie. It's got all his sort of trademarks, lots of scenes of sort of serenity, not much going on, and boom, something mad will happen. It's a really, really good film. Just don't think of John Woo when you're thinking of Takeshi Kitano. They're very, very different. Oh, this is one I haven't seen, but I've been meaning to check out. From what I've heard, it doesn't have the best of reputations, but it's a British horror movie. Judging by the title and the cover, I think it's got something to do with a Ouija board. Oh yeah, I did a video on this one already, Dead Man Running. I really like this movie. Tamer Hussain, Danny Dyer. Yeah, there would be familiar faces on the sort of British movie scene in the early 2000s. We'll make this the last one. Arahan. I think this is based on a comic or something, but it's a Korean movie. Lots of CG, lots of silliness. But it's good. It's actually pretty funny. Now I've got tons more DVDs to sort of show off. I'm sort of pinned myself in here now, big stacks of DVDs. I'm gonna have to dig myself out. But yeah, we're gonna wrap things up here. This has been a quick look at some of my DVD collection, a very random assortment. But yeah, if you made it to the end, thank you very much. If you'd like to see more, just let me know in the comment section. So my name's Gray, this is Video Holocaust. More videos up soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.